Hi guys, Parliament is broken and it has been broken for some time. It's completely useless as a mechanism to hold government to account. It's a facade, a smokescreen, a charade. MPs voted to the House of Commons are there to represent not just those who voted for them, but everyone in their constituency. We have seen in the past with Boris Johnson how Parliament was completely incapable of holding him to account. He would ignore questions, he would laugh them off, he would answer questions that weren't asked, and he would use his position to grandstand and to lie. So it falls to MPs to use whatever tools they can to work around these problems, to work around the failures of Parliament. One way is to set the narrative, and this seems to be what the SNP leader Ian Blackford is doing. Have a listen.
Let me congratulate the Prime Minister and her family on her appointment. But I'm sorry to say that her reputation for straight talking has falling apart at the first PMQs. After 9 questions, she's still not told us who will pay for her energy plan. Prime Minister, today the public are waiting to find out the response to the economic crisis, and they want answers. So, will the Prime Minister finally answer 2 very simple questions? Will she freeze energy prices at their current levels? And will it be paid for by a windfall tax? Yes or no?
Well, no, it won't be paid for by a windfall tax.
Okay, then who will pay for it? Obviously, if it's not paid for by a windfall tax, it will be paid for by the taxpayer. So remember this. This is who's going to pay for this package. The taxpayer. Ordinary people.
I don't believe we can tax our way to growth.
We can tax. So she doesn't want to bring in a windfall tax because she doesn't believe we can tax our way to growth. A windfall tax is not a typical type of tax. It's a tax on profits. It's not a tax on ordinary people. It has nothing to do with growth. Is she really that stupid? I know she's been listening to Patrick Minford for a while. Does she actually believe that a windfall tax would in some way affect growth? Really?
And what I want to see is I want to see us using more of our UK energy supply, including more oil and gas from the North Sea and nuclear power in Scotland as well. And I hope I can count on the SNP's support for that.
Notice she didn't mention renewable energy. Wind energy, which Scotland, I think, produces the most in Europe. Or at least the most in the UK. Why didn't she mention renewable energy? Obviously because she's backed by the far-right think tanks who don't want to touch renewable energy because most of them are backed by the fossil fuel industry. And I said this before, she's the puppet and the puppet master is the ERG. And these right-wing think tanks who have joined her government, her administration, and are advising her. Notice she didn't talk about renewable energy here, because these people are against that.
Here, Blackford! Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I say that on her first full day as Prime Minister, she has failed to rule out.
Shh. Let's hear the next question. Ian Blackford.
The Prime Minister may have changed, Mr. Speaker, but it's the same old being shouted down by the Tories. On her first full day as Prime Minister, she's failed to rule out a Truss Tax on household and businesses.
Very good. This is setting the narrative, the Truss Tax, and I would repeat this ad nauseum. And I hope that the SNP will work with the other opposition parties, or the other opposition parties will work with the SNP and continue to push this Truss tax. Because that's what it is. It's a tax on ordinary people because they're going to pay for this package to help people through the cost of living crisis, or at least this part of the cost of living crisis. But it's a tax on ordinary people. Now, she could have taxed the companies who are making massive profits, but she doesn't want to do that because the people who are advising her are saying, no, don't touch those people. They're on our side. We're not on the side of ordinary people. But it's important that you push this narrative, a Truss tax. And I hope we're going to hear from members of the Green Party, Liberal Democrats, Labour, independents, they're going to start pushing this narrative of the Truss tax, because I think it is a good approach.
Instead of targeting the profits of massive corporations with a windfall tax, the Prime Minister's plan appears to be a decade-long raid on the bank accounts of ordinary taxpayers. These costs must not be passed on to consumers and businesses by deferring bills. Government must announce an enhanced windfall profits tax, making sure that those oil and gas producers pay their fair share from excess profits. Does the Prime Minister understand that her first act as Prime Minister will now define her? A Truss tax that households and businesses will be paying for years to come.
Well, I'm not quite sure what the Right Honourable Gentleman's position is, because on one hand, he doesn't seem to want oil and gas extraction from the North Sea, and on the other hand...
Where did he say that? When did he say he doesn't want oil and gas extracted from the North Sea? And as I said before, there's a huge resource there available, the wind. And Liz Truss once again doesn't want to touch that because the people advising her. Is she really that empty? Is her brain non-existent that she just says whatever she's told to do? She doesn't have any independent thought whatsoever. She's really just a puppet of these right-wing think tanks and these sinister elements within British politics.
He wants them to pay more taxes. Why does he make up his mind?
Then you have James Cleverly. I won't even go into James Cleverly. It's a tax on these companies. How is this a contradiction? Does she not understand what a tax is at this stage? But I think this is the right approach from Ian Blackford. Call it what it is, a Truss tax. It'll be extremely unpopular. Why are we paying the Truss tax? Because Liz Truss wanted to defend the profits of these large corporations, who are expected to make something close to £200 billion next year. Or this year. Why is she protecting them? There are so many questions to ask. Why is she protecting them? Who is advising her to protect them? Why isn't she introducing a tax on their profits? They're making massive profits. How is taxing them going to harm growth? These are the questions that need to be put to Liz Truss. And I really do hope that the other MPs from the other parties will pick up on this and will run with it. And also people outside Parliament will run with this as well. Because this is what she's doing. She's introducing a tax. She's not calling it a tax, but it is a tax on ordinary people, because they're going to pay for this package to protect, in a sense, these energy companies. Because whatever stimulus is given, whatever money is handed over, it's going to be handed over to these companies that are making massive profits at the end of the day. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.